So I was talking about Fancy George. He is a senior director at KGD Architecture. She is carrying very rich experience, not only from India, but across the border. She has been to US. She is a graduate from MIT University. She did multiple projects. She worked in US for 7 years, and she's very passionate about designing. She has been doing projects in residential, commercial, and industrial verticals. Next, we have with us Mr. Aziz Mirza. He's a very known face in Mumbai, especially. He's representing JLL, and he's the director of projects and development services at JLL. Luma Institute certified practitioner for human-centered design, subject matter and expert on data center projects, and that is going to be very attractive going forward. Everything what we are talking about now in today's digital world is data and data centers. Next, we have with us is the associate director from Space Matrix. She is regional head for West of India for Space Matrix. You might all be knowing that Space Matrix is into design and build as well. And she has been on client side as well. She has worked with RBS. She is coming from a project background. She has done. She has worked as a PMC. She is working as a design and build architect now. So she's also carrying more than 16 years of experience. Prior to India, she also worked in London, UK. The next lady on the screen you are seeing is Miss Sapna. She is the director, the Canvas. She is principal architect. She's graduated in US. She has earned name there in US, and she passed out the architectural degree from United States of America. She stayed there for 4 years. Then after coming back, she worked with various organizations at various positions. And then she decided to start on her own. Right now, she is the principal architect for The Canvas, a design firm, which 5 offices in India, 1 in Hong Kong, more than 70 designers with her on board. Moving on, we have on screen Mr. Shashikaran Udupi. Shashiji is a well-known name. He's from Bangalore. Right now, he's executive at Google. And he's architect by profession from California. He is registered architect from California, lead accredited professional. He worked on various fronts. He comes from project management and construction background. He worked as a PMC prior to this position. He was working with Goldman Sachs as vice president for lead and design and construction. Next on the screen, we have Mr. Prashant Agarwal. He's general manager at Aditya Birla Group, a very well-known and famous group. And he's IT infrastructure design solution architect. He comes from very rich technical background. He has been handling IT infrastructure solutions, technical solution evaluating and calculation, team leader with strong skills in training and development of employees. Next we have on the screen is Mr. Bharat Kumar. Bharat, if you say hi, then you will be on the screen then. So that is the limitation of virtual discussion, virtual meeting. So Bharat is managing director at Kramer Electronics. It is one of the manufacturing equipment from audiovisual industry. Kramer is a brand from Israel. He is also a board member for board. He's a member of board of directors Avixa. Avixa is the kind of association, global organization, global association for AV industry, and like we follow Avixa standards when we do AV installations. He's an IIM pass out, and he's been in the industry for quite a long time, and AV people love him. There you go with the host Abdul Wahid, myself. I am a workspace technology consultant with IT Technologies Private Limited, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's discussion. So let's begin with our discussion. There are many people joined us. Again, to repeat, there are 600 odd registration we have received for this webinar. That shows how much people are interested in this kind of topic. Maybe the topic is very attractive, or our panel, or both. So we have good team, good audience who are from IT background, who are from AV background, who are from project management consultant background. We have many architects and many end users on connected to this webinar. With the guidelines, I will just suggest the panelists, because others are already muted. So when you are not speaking, I would request you to keep your mic on mute, but definitely don't forget to unmute it when you are answering any question. Then panel discussion question, whatever I'm going to ask you guys will be displayed on the screen so that our audience can also see what topic, because some people will be joining later. They will see what topic we are discussing. Third is audience can post their questions through chat box right now. Also, they can start so that we can collect the question. End of the discussion, we will be posing this question to respective panelists based on their expertise. Then we would like to thank our partner, Cisco, who has offered us this platform, the next platform to host this event. Now, I would start the formal discussion with our panelists, not taking much of your time. Let us utilize their expertise, their experience, and their viewpoints on the current situation. We all know that, we are impacted by COVID-19. It is almost going to complete 40 days of lockdown. On 3rd, I think it is going to be completing. I don't know if for Maharashtra, Mumbai people, it is going to get extended. Many of us will get a relaxation after 3rd. So that will still be completing the 40 days of lockdown. So I will start my question with the panelists. First, I would like to ask Mr. Aziz Baig, who is from JLL, about what is your view? What is the impact on our industry, especially in the domain which you are working? How COVID-19 has impacted the functional, operational aspect of the industry? Aziz Baig, over to you.
Thank you, Abdul. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, i10 Kramer, for inviting me on this very knowledgeable session, which is very need of the hour, and talk about. And I hope you all are doing good at your home with your loved ones. Hoping for the same, and looking forward to meet all of you in person as soon as this lockdown get over. You must have also heard that all the construction project has been on hold. Client is avoiding the capex investment at this moment because of the financial crisis. There are positive impact also because of this COVID. So there is a significant improvement in the environment condition. You must have seen that we are now getting a very clean and fresh air because of the reduction of nitrogen oxide from the environment. Lots of industries are shut, lots of vehicles are out of the road. Because of this, we are now at least breathing the clean air and with less contamination. The other positive impacts are the family bonding. We all are currently working. We are spending more and more time with our family. You can see that the family bonding is increasing day by day during this lockdown situation. In fact, entire world is breaking the barrier and working together to fight with this coronavirus together. People are not thinking about their country or their village. They're coming together and sharing the information, asking for the medical help. You can see that America has asked for a medical help from India. So similarly, all the countries are breaking the barrier. There are new opportunities for the emerging markets because this COVID situation, this crisis has also, created lots of opportunity for the new business.
Yeah, thank you, Aziz. Like you have mentioned in detail about the total impact, not only to our industry, not only to the construction field, but also to our life in general. You have spoken about. So I would now move to next panelist, Meghna. She is one of the youngest panelists we have today on our panel. Meghna, like you have been working in design as well as you have been part of design build projects. So how do you see, like, how is the response with your company or with you, like, in terms of clients turning out? Are your projects going on hold? What kind of like challenges you are seeing or facing right now? Uh, and also, I would like to ask you about like how do you see like resuming back? Will that be an easy task, or what are the strategies you are planning? Meghna.
Right. Thank you so much for having me. Can everyone hear me fine? Perfect. Lovely. So I'm going to answer your question slightly the lopsided way. 90% of our portfolio is design and build. So your question really hits home for us because we feel the pain on both sides, right? The design piece as well as the build piece. Now, if I were to look at your question holistically, 12% of the country's population actually works in construction. As per the latest KPMG report, about 60 billion has been invested in India in construction. So think about it, it's a huge number of investment. Both labor and capital are likely to be short in supply. And both are interconnected and have a perpetual effect. So when will things resume? Yes, certainly they'll resume. Will they resume easily? That's a relative term because that's driven by your geography. Because as you know, Maharashtra, the moment you mention the name Maharashtra, everybody goes. So obviously we know that certain geographies are going to open earlier than other geographies. And whichever geography opens first, according to me, will become a labor magnet. Which means that we are going to, so if I have to put it very slyly, let's say that the two states who are fighting for a particular rupee in South may have something new to fight about. Which may be labor, right? Now, to answer the other piece of your question, the timing or whether the projects, which are ongoing projects, will remain ongoing and whether they'll be cancelled. The way I see it is that the timing of the incident was at the end of our financial year. So what had happened is that the capital had already been invested and the need-based analysis was already done. The clients that we've got, for example, they are quietly hiring. They are paying out their bonuses. They're looking at this time for acquiring other companies. So I know this sounds a little bit more positive in terms of tone, but frankly speaking, there is this tone of positivity in the undercurrent. So I can't lie. There's definitely opportunities out there, guys, and I just say hang. That's me.
Wow, like you motivated all of us actually, especially all our audience who are from AV, IT, and construction field. That positivity, like is really appreciated because a lot of depressive webinars have been happening and people are cribbing and crying about the situation. Yeah, the situation is very challenging and there is a lot of impact, as Aziz mentioned in his answer, that the impact is there. I would like to have this topic more elaborated. I have Sapna on in our panelists. So Sapna is basically coming from a totally design background, and there are many projects that she is doing right now with large enterprises and large organizations. And since she is from designing background, all her work will be on board, designing boards. So I want to understand, like, Sapna, is there any changes on the project that you were working, like in terms of impact? Like they are going on hold, or there is a need analysis that Meghna was talking about? Is there any change in need analysis, or is there any change in requirement? Clients are asking you to hold it for some time. What is it? We want to know, like in terms of impact. Sapna.
So, hi everyone. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Super. Good evening. Again, thank you for having me on this panel. To answer your question, and in continuation with what Meghna said, yes, I look at it more positively. Though the first few days were a little shocker for everybody, and everyone went a little stagnant to sort of understand where this was headed to, because everything has been from the beginning a little ambiguous as to how long will the lockdown be for, what are the after effects, when will this end. So there has been a lot of introspection on what is actually going to turn up with respect to how the industry will move forward. So what has happened in a nutshell is most of the projects that we were working on are sort of on hold with respect to it going live on site. That is a phase of construction, as we call it. They've all been pushed to Q4, as most of our clients have said, and they're being very optimistic, keeping in mind how the growth of this pandemic has affected India. It's looking way more positive compared to the global way the whole pandemic has grown. So yes, there is a lot of positivity and there is an introspection that things may start moving by Q4. But in the meanwhile, what everybody is also doing is they're trying to work on how do we tackle this in a more strategic way. That is bringing your entire workforce back to the office after this whole period, which has actually shaken us up tremendously, is going to be the real challenge. So everybody is very worried as to how do we get our employees into the office space and keep in mind their safety, their security, their confidence of coming back and working wholeheartedly and full-fledgedly into a space, and taking care of all the COVID norms that we are supposed to follow. So yes, the clients are looking at keeping the new office spaces more flexible. For example, they don't know when the vaccine will be out. So if this is going to stay for 6 months or 1 year, or how long this is going to affect us is something that nobody knows. So every client is demanding a very flexible planning in the way we are designing. For example, a small example is we're trying to propose a raised flooring for all the offices. So today, if we are planning for, say, 50 workstation, keeping in mind the social distancing norms, keeping in mind the circulation ratios that we have to maintain, and 1 year down the line, where everything comes back to normal, if we need to increase the density of these spaces, we need to have the flexibility. So that is a very vital point touching upon as to how do we keep these spaces flexible and not just think about today, but 1 year down the line is what we really need to focus on, because we cannot keep recreating these spaces time and time again. Also, a lot of research is going on looking at the office spaces in a very different way, because we are all used to working from home. We have, I think, gained more respect for humanity, for nature, for environment. So everybody is respecting these values a little bit more and trying to incorporate them in workspaces. So just to answer you as a whole, yes, there is a lot of change that is happening, keeping in mind the scenario for the next 6 months, next 1 year, and post positively, if the vaccine is out, what do we do? So yes, there are a lot of changes happening.
Yeah, thank you, Sapna, for sharing this with us. Like, especially when when you were talking about that, since the vaccine is not out, and you have to also maintain the social distancing norm, and in office designing, of course, it is going to affect your designs, and you are right now looking at more flexible kind of workspaces design. And you also mentioned about the work from home, the terminology you brought in. So let us move to our next main topic, which is very hyped in today's scenario. People are talking about work from home. There are various news, various articles being published, various challenges being imposed. So let us move to our next topic, which is work from home. So we have Mr. Prashant Agarwal on board. He's representing Aditya Birla, which is one of the largest organization of our country. So they have been like a very large number of employees are there with Aditya Birla. So work from home, how do you see this, Mr. Prashant? You come from an IT background. So what are the challenges that you see in implementing this as a norm, where many people, even our union minister, spoke about it, that work from home could be the next norm. So Mr. Prashant, would you shed some light on how, in terms of data security, in terms of firewalls, malwares, how do you see this concept? Hello, Mr. Prashant. If you are muted, would you please don't mind unmute yourself? Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening. Can you hear me? I'm audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. Good evening to all. Yes. So the new in India, the new force work from home. So maybe yes, when you see Middle East or maybe US work from home, in Indian uh, uh, companies which is operating like I'm saying Capgemini or maybe, so work from home is a normal thing which was happening in like companies for Aditya Birla, something new, a new culture here, a challenge for everyone. Okay, so we are not used to work from home. We have never tried work from home. Okay, even though our HR says we have a policy for 2 days work from home, okay, which is there for last 2 years. Uh, I've never tried work from home. Okay, so the meaning of work from home was something different pre-COVID, and in COVID world, work from home the challenges are different. So if you have see one, okay, from a technology perspective, there are many challenges, and I think so. Still, yeah, we have to have more security things. Okay, coming into a showstopper. Okay, still we are not so secure. We are not equipped for work from home. While tools like this, WebEx, maybe Teams, Zoom, okay, this can collaborate to a certain extent and creating webinars sort of a thing, virtual seminars, maybe meetings, okay, but still a long way to go. Okay, like I'm saying an example. Yesterday we were having a discussion with our senior folks of HR. They're saying I sign every paper. So your rewards and recognition is on paper. So this is a practical challenge. So what you can do? Okay, so okay, our chairman signs this document. Prashant, how can you help me in this? Signing this document now, wherever he is, okay, and I'm at X location and this is the Y location, and safe and secure. So you have heard Zoom getting hacked, okay, and again there are some patches in. So since that the trust in the technology still is not there, while we are having this, but still it's a long way to go. We have to be more while we say work from home. See, people like in cities, maybe Bombay, where you have one from 1 BHK to 2 BHK. I'm saying my colleagues here. Okay, maybe if I'm in maybe a class B city, we have an almost our plants in all class B and beyond. Okay, you have uh, homes which is lavish homes, one room dedicated work from home. But yes, the challenge is technology. You can't have digital there. I am getting a challenge here. Okay, I can't access Zoom or maybe any internet is not there in that location. So again, this is a very a gloomy or something. Okay, people are managing this COVID world, okay, by collaborating in maybe using such kind of tools, but still uh, as an Indian culture, it is getting into, maybe it's a long way to go. Okay, I am not equipped. Okay, I've never used this headset. Okay, even though so yeah, it never used to. Okay, not in my phone. Okay, use, but yes, now I see. Okay, I need a noise reduction. I need a space here, working desk. You don't have maybe my colleagues here or panelists. Someone was telling me I was sitting in sofa for 8 hours. I never sat because they're comfortable chairs. Okay, so I need to plan. Okay, next time Prashant, how to have my home. I have one chair which is like an office feel. So at least
Very correctly
from
said.
that,
Very
yeah.
correct.
So these are the practical challenges. Okay, and but yes, I'm sure, and I know some of the business models coming up. Okay, in the area of space. Okay, and I have some ideas here. Okay, so, which is very corporate. Like people can work from home would be another industry which will coming in. Like people, companies like TCS, who are saying now 75% of my workforce will be working from home.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, in Bombay, while announcing is okay, but working is a challenge.
Okay. No, we have the team on the board, Mr. Prashant, that who will be helping us designing those kind of residents. So I will, come back to you again. Since you brought many interesting terminologies here, I am also sitting for 1 hour now on my chair, and I'm very uncomfortable. Even fan on my ceiling. Like Meghna said, I don't have AC in this room. I also have fan in the room that is creating some noise, but there are many other considerations that are coming into picture in terms of designing the residences. So I move on to the next question to our panelist. She's a designer by profession, and she is representing KGD. She has got like 25 years of rich experience, not only from India but from US. Fancy, I would like to ask you, while designing residential spaces, will now, along with the corporate, this will be again one more segment be opening up for us, designing aspect when work from home being made compulsory for 75% of TCS employees. Of course, people, companies like Aditya Birla, where Prashant will talk to, they come from very traditional background, very conventional way of working, but now their HR is also talking about it. So how do you see, Fancy, this new change? How it will, whether it will be a positive impact or some other aspect of it in terms of designing? How would you take this up, Fancy?
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
I think one thing's for sure, Abdul, you're going to be getting a lot of business out of this. Okay.
all the AV and IT people listening this discussion will be very happy.
Very happy. Absolutely
Yeah.
right. But I think I just kind of want to step back from this a little bit, and talking about this work from home situation in your residences. The biggest thing I think for a lot of us was trying to get used to this concept. I mean, if you look at your corporate industries, your IT industries, all of the big corporates, they were already doing it for the past 10 years. It's like a norm for them. In fact, if you talk to a lot of them, they say, hey, this is just not any different for any of them. And they've got used to this kind of a concept. But then there are the others, there are others like the project managers, the architects. I mean, we are one of them who needs that constant collaboration with our team all the time. And this was like the biggest question on our head. How are we going to be managing? So I think one of the biggest things is to step back and try and get into that mindset change, and try and get into this thing about blurring the lines between work and home and be comfortable with it. We need to start getting comfortable with this, because I think it's going to be something that is going to stay. The office is not going to go away for sure. But I think we need to be getting used to the fact that we can be sitting at home and working, and you can have people walking behind you. There was this big video that was happening about a year back, I think, where there was this BBC newscaster and his baby walked in, and then it was a big deal. Things like that should not be a big deal. It shouldn't be. It should be actually okay for us to be showing cats or our dogs in the background, or talk about things that are normal. This is the new normal. Okay, we should be getting comfortable with that. And I think the other thing about work from home is also the fact that I think we need to start trusting our employees and our colleagues to be doing that job, because there is no time. There is no 9 to 5 anymore. It's like about when you're given a task, and you need to be trusted with finishing that. So that respect has to be given also to a lot of people. So when you're talking about that space itself, the question you're asking me for your residences, I think it really is dependent on that individual. Is he comfortable working on that sofa, like you mentioned, Prashant? Or is he comfortable kind of walking into the kitchen and cooking and taking that call? It's honestly has to be up to you and what works best for you. Are you good with going and picking up a home with a complete office by itself? Yes. I mean, that's your call. Basically, I think it's got to be an individual's choice in what he wants to do. Does he want to step outside and take that meeting outside in a coffee shop? You want to meet in a hotel? Totally up to you. So literally, I think it's a good question, but I think it's a question about what works for who. Each of us is going to be approaching it in a very different way. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. Now you're definitely going to get residences with attached offices, and that's going to be a big deal for you to market. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you, Fancy, for opening this topic and giving very good insight. I would move on to Mr. Shashi. He's from Google, and we all know Google. What Google is. I don't have to add any information about it. So, Mr. Shashi, I would like to ask you the question that Fancy was talking about, that we need to give freedom to the people. We need to give, it is their choice, of course. So, when it comes to a kind of virtual meeting or just the conversation, or maybe working from home on some designs, working on AutoCAD is okay. But when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to creativity, as many of architects are also here. So like, working from home, how do you see, like, in terms of challenges? And of course, I would like to add that part also. I asked Mr. Prashant in terms of security, how do you see how secure our data on the cloud are? Mr. Shashi.
Yeah, thanks for having me in this panel. Very excited to talk. I think to answer this question, Abdul, one needs to think, how does a designer work? I mean, we have 3, 4 designers. What tools do they need at their disposal for innovation in design, for decision making, for problem solving, and of course, collaboration? I think while a lot of IT related works such as coding and programming can potentially, continue through work from home, what I feel is that the design related discussions and collaboration need graphic intensive software. Like you were mentioning, AutoCAD is one of the more easier ones. These graphic intensive software will need better infrastructure setups and RAM speeds, typically better available in office setups, in architectural practices, and engineering consulting practices. So let me bring out some challenges. As an example, I think building information modeling and Revit, which has picked up a lot in the building construction design and construction industry. So the BIM related work will be quite a challenge to undertake at home offices, because these are the homes are not equipped with powerful servers, and you need something really powerful for smooth functioning of the Revit models. In a similar vein, I would say that on how Prashant was mentioning, the MEP coordinated drawings, for example, right? The best way to work on them is the old-fashioned way of having a nice big
Right.
and you detect all the clashes, and you collaborate with whoever it can be. It can be the vendor for shop drawings, it can be the developer for base build and stuff. But that would be the typical way of doing it, which is, I think, which would be a challenge for architectural practices in today's life and times. Another one that I see is the rendering. The rendering softwares like 3D Max and Rhino, which will also need powerful machines. These are some of the challenges. And of course, the design industry is based on a lot of physical aspects of look and feel, touch and feel, and things like that. So when an architect, suggests a material, we always ask for a mock-up or a swatch. So these, hindrances are there. But at the end of the day, I would still say that with what we have in terms of the meeting softwares like Google Hangouts or WebEx or even Zoom, we are managing, I would say, at least 60 to 75% of the work in the design industry as well, in terms of our discussions with our consultants. There are challenges. Some things have slowed down, but they have definitely not come to a stop. With regards to the InfoSec, I think the banking sectors will be a little more hit, because their InfoSec guidelines are much more stringent. But I think for Google, we are able to manage. The only thing I can say is that they should have a very good, flexible virtual private network with a robust InfoSec, to handle these things. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Thank you, Shashi. Like you rightly said, there are many collaborative tools which are already available, and I know, all you guys who are in the panel, especially Fancy, Shashi, Meghna, Sapna, Aziz. I've been seeing, and we were being part of it as AV IT industry and the audiences who are here. So we have been attending meeting on the virtual platform. We have been using WebEx and those collaborative tool already. It is becoming a norm. So only aspect more to it is like flexibility and the security, as Shashi has pointed it to. Going forward, in terms of office designing, I'll come back to Fancy again. Meghna was also mentioning about, Sapna was mentioning that social distancing are to be maintained in new office designs. So how do you see this change? Is that going to be a temporary change or a permanent change? So if like, social distances, those norms are to be followed. So how do you see like the office space requirement will increase, or what impact will this norm have on the designing?
I think there are a lot of things to look at in terms of like number one, what do we need to see out here, right? The first thing is, of course, look at the employee and the safety, security, health, and wellness of the employee. So that's got to be at the center of what we're talking about in terms of office planning, right? So again, when you're saying social distancing, we're talking physical distancing, and socially we have to try and get closer together. So that terminology also, we need to relook at the way we are saying that.
Thanks for the correction. Yeah, it is
So,
correctly
yeah,
pointed out.
yeah. So I think, for one thing, I don't think the fear will go away for sure, all right? But what we are seeing a lot is that there is an ask from a lot of our clients who are asking about a very flexible solution. And I think Sapna and Meghna touched upon it to some extent. There are a lot of clients who had gone ahead and taken care of this flexibility, because there was an ask for like 10 years back. There were offices that Shashi knows about it. They were talking about the fact that we're not going to know what's going to happen 10 years down the line. So how do you design for something you really don't know? Anything can happen, right? So what is that situation that you got to be designing for? So there were, at that time, there was a lot of talk about bringing in raised flooring, and then to make sure that you give like these movable pods and a lot of things that you can move around within the office, so that we could work with that. So what we are seeing a lot now is like there is an ask right now, and an immediate ask is to make sure that you're maintaining a 6 feet distance. So you're calling that a 6 feet office. There's a lot of talk about that as such, as to how you're going to be maintaining that distance, and how is it that we're going to be sitting within that space, and how do we do that? Because we've moved away from those cubicles. We've gone into these the benching system. We've gone from like 120 to 100 to 80 to 50 square feet per person, and there's a lot of people on a floor. So I think safety, security, health first. So this has to be taken first, and that first consideration has to be that how do you take care of that? So I do see that I think we will be looking at replanning the way we are doing those offices in terms of distancing of the workstations. But more importantly, I think we will be looking a lot more into activity-based work. So going for different types of spaces and giving the employees choice, like you're giving the choice of the space within your homes. That's probably going to be carried to some extent into your office as well. The choice of working from home and the choice of working in the office. So the density comes down to a larger extent. So efficiency will come down. But that again will be like kind of weighed with or balanced with the fact that there will be a choice of people working from home. So it's like somewhere in the middle. You've got to try and bridge that gap and balance it to some extent. And of course, when it comes to meetings, okay, that's the biggest thing. Now you're just sitting literally cramped one person next to the other. So maybe you're going to be sitting in your own office and making a call to somebody like a floor up. And so, those kind of things. So you need to be providing for as many spaces for focused individual work as such. And I think that's going to be a little bit of a ask in a lot of these spaces.
Just to stop you here, are you also looking at, because I am also including the question answer in between, like there is one question posed by one of the audience, like in social distance norming or social distance norms, and you mentioned about the health and hygiene. So you want to bring in technology part also here, like do you expect like,
yes.
yeah.
I'll start with that. So basically, you are going to be starting with the gate, or from the moment you enter the office, thermal screening of the employee walking in. So the thermal screening will come in. And then the quality of air that is going to be pumped into the public space, you got to make sure that's not being mixed within the workspaces. So there's going to be a lot of partitioning of your MEP services that's going to come into play. Okay, and then pumping in as much fresh air as possible, because that's another thing. And then to get people out, you need to have them move out for sunlight and fresh air as much as possible. Maybe you want to be even taking meetings outside of your office. Maybe you have a campus and you want to be taking your meeting rooms out into your campus under a tree, you know, like get them out moving. So it's health also of the person. So I mean, these are definitely some of the things that you need to consider. And conferencing, you may, you know, I want to add this. Maybe you will even land up having conference rooms with holographic images of the person you're talking to next to you. You know, that's going to be the true possibility if you ask me going forward.
Let's bring in the technology guy, Mr. Bharat, from Kramer, asking him the same question. Like, Bharatji, how do you see, like, you know, bringing in technology for all these changes? And it is like, you know, somebody mentioned, Mr. Prashant mentioned, it is before COVID and after COVID. Now BC has to be, the terminology has to be changed to before COVID. So now this after COVID, the world that we are looking at, and Fancy and Aziz and Meghna and Sapna, the architectural side of it, they are mentioning about, like, you know, change in design, and they expect something out of technology also to maintain this norms. So we have in technology to answer these requirements.
Thank you for having me on the panel, Abdul, first of all, and good evening, everybody. I think COVID prompted decision makers involved in the workspace requirements to transform, fast track their digital transformation. Social distance modes of working have become the new norm. And I think, right, the world effectively has launched multiple series of experiments, testing not only how to flatten the curve of pandemic spread, but also how possible it is for their economies to survive when they move whatever is possible to the online mode. We are living through a purest test imaginable of internet. And I think we are discovering, right, how able it is to create a fascist smile of economy as usual. Dependence on online fascist smile, I guess, will be the state of affairs for the significant period of time, you know, even as countries gently try to lift their, you know, lockdown in phases. I think only part of any economy work can be done remotely, according to me, Abdul. Okay, success of moving work into socially distant mode depends on multiple digital services. All right, first is telecommunication platforms such as WebEx that we're using, Zoom, Teams to keep the workers connected. E-com platform to deliver those provisions to the remote workers, and last is the digital media to keep people informed and make good business decisions. In order to have this right, we need to have resilience of the internet infrastructure, all right, to traffic searches. And I think this is the most important one, according to me. So AV as an industry, right, we have all along have products and technologies that cater to the current situation. Earlier, it was confined to the large and the multinational enterprises and the government sector. But I think we now have an opportunity to take it all the way to the residential and to the small enterprises. This is definitely going to give rise to the remote collaboration and conferencing in a very big way.
Thank you, Bharatji. That brings to the next question. Like, you have so many things to offer in terms of technology to answer the current requirements. I would like to take it to Meghna. I want to ask, like, she is also already working in many projects, and whenever I call, I got an engaged tone, meaning that she's working, she's already busy on many other projects. So I want to ask Meghna, like, what kind of offices in terms of technology people are looking at, like in terms of less touch points or those kind of requirements, like, many architects are asking the technology people. So do you also get those kind of things? Can you elaborate on this subject?
So what's happening to us is, I think the question was, our clients asking for different kind of things in the office. So I'll tell you what's happening. Clients are surrounded by red tape, panic, and pain right now. Everyone is trying to sell something. They're bombarded with this whole media frenzy. So you think about a person which is on client side who's got a lot of pressure to sort certain things out, and the word being sort. How? No one's asking. They're just saying sort it out and it's your problem. So the challenge is, clients are not asking, should I do this? Should I do that? They're asking us just one question. As a trusted advisor, what is your recommendation? So to be able to answer it through all of this noise, all we said to them is, think of it in a very simple manner. me space and we space. And we designers talk a lot about this and people don't pay a lot of attention. And we get say, you say this all the time. But if you think about the cliche term me space and we space, by me, you're talking about personal hygiene. You're talking about personal storage. By we, you're talking about clear desk policies, centralized bins. The whole, suddenly, all of the focus changes to me and we. Now, keeping that at a point, we are obviously going to have to look at enablers. I feel technology is a huge enabler. It allows us to do unthinkable things. So what we are telling clients is, if someone's telling you something, and bear in mind, it's not always going to be passed through us. There will be other people talking to them as well. What we're saying to them is, step back, and if I'm not there to help you, step back and think, is this going to solve your me problem or your we problem? And the moment that answers those questions, and if it solves that problem for you, then you've got a winning solution at your hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to Aziz, in terms of real space requirement, there is a change in. I have attended many webinars which are related to construction and projects. So in that, Aziz, I would like to ask you this question. Is there any change in real space requirement, like how the office used to be in terms of real estate space requirement, locations, and other policies and strategies?
Absolutely, Abdul. So there are lots of government directives in terms of maintaining the social distancing, as well as how to follow the different standard operating procedures as soon as we resume the office spaces or the construction. So the entire real estate industry is currently working on it, because the lockdown is getting over by 3rd of May. And then there might be a chances that the lockdown will be lifted in some of the places, excluding some of the hotspots. So everybody is working on the site resumption plan, that how the social distancing will be maintained. This is one of the biggest challenge to entire industry at this moment, that in their office space as well as in their site, with different works involved, how they will achieve the social distancing norm, which is approximately 2 meters between each other. So this is a biggest challenge. And you rightly mentioned, and our designers have rightly mentioned, that we also need to think in terms of changing the office space design going forward, that how you will maintain the, how you will design an office space by considering the human safety aspect of it. Earlier, people used to talk about the smart offices, but now it is going to be smart plus more safe offices. Like Meghna rightly mentioned, that whatever the indoor air quality that we are breathing in, we need to have a set parameters. There might be a displays installed in the office spaces that will continuously show that the PM 2.5 particle is reduced, or what is the contamination level in the air at this moment. We can start from the reception itself, that, for example, as soon as the visitor enters, without touching any kind of a device, only if he has a code issued by any of the office space employee, that code he will show to the camera, and that camera will reflect all the parameters about related to his health, how many visits he has done, and that will help us to analyze whether this particular person is having any kind of a temperature at this moment. Lots of sensor-based technology will be implemented in the office space. As our designer says, Fancy says, that we cannot ask people to sit close to each other in the meeting room. So there might be a chances that we are in the office, but we can have a meeting on the virtual tool, like Microsoft Teams or WebEx or any kind of online collaboration tool. There are lots of policy which needs to be changed if you are adopting for a work from home culture, because as Prashant rightly mentioned, we are not used to it. Majority of the companies are really not used to it, and they don't have a culture of working from home. So lots of HR policy which undergo change. And of course, the question will always remain about the data security, the bandwidth of the internet connection that we are having, the acoustic level of the room, because our homes are not equipped, as everybody is saying. We may have to talk about that in future. For the home, we need to have a close spot for taking the calls. So all these things are really talk of the town that will be there in the upcoming future offices, design with some innovative ideas to maintain the social distancing as well as to follow the standard operating procedure norms which has been laid down by the government.
Yeah, thank you, Aziz. Like you correctly said, like there are many aspects in terms of facility, also requirement, facility management, in terms of clean air, in terms of visitor management system, in terms of the meeting room space. So that brings me to the next question to Mr. Shashi from Google. That like what kind of technology he is expecting in terms of maintaining the facility equipments in terms of clean air or dashboard alerts and those kind of thing. And also to add this, like, I would ask him the previous question as well. There are many projects that you also have in pipeline. So what is the impact and how you are taking them forward? Shashi?
Yeah, so I would like to start off by saying that I'm very new to Google. It's been barely a month since I've joined Google, but I will try to answer your questions. In terms of the role of technology itself, if we see, technology has always been a powerful tool in terms of transforming the way we work, actually. I mean, there have been paradigm shifts in the way we work at various stages in history, such as the Industrial Revolution or introduction of mass production via assembly lines, or say introduction of computers, internet, even cloud, right? And right now it was Internet of Things. That was the trendy subject. But I think I strongly believe this global work from home experiment is a new thrust into a paradigm shift in the way we work. I'm sure about that. And we are already seeing the increased traffic in remote collaborative and conferencing facilities such as WebEx, Cisco WebEx, or Hangout, Skype, Zoom. And these are proving extremely vital in these circumstances. And the more deeper the engagement offerings from these softwares, I think the better are the chances of these the product successes. Like I remember having meetings in Cisco where we would actually mark on the drawings, and the architects would understand what we actually need to change or modify, right? Of course, as Aziz was mentioning, bandwidth is a major factor in terms of internet speeds and remote working. But I think this is a good chance for companies like Act, Jio, Airtel to step up and sell better products, and I'm sure they will get sold as well. Abdul, you might be happy to hear small scale AV equipment such as noise cancelling devices, better webcam, these kind of will definitely come up in the technology field to enhance our experience in terms of meeting people and seeing them, right? Of course, workspace or offices, on the other hand, will definitely become more sustainable, flexible to adapt to changes, like Sapna and Meghna were mentioning about the false flooring, right? Flexibility will be fungibility will be a major requirement in terms of the office space itself. Sensor-based operations for flap barriers, turnstiles, lifts, water faucets, access controls. Basically, at least for the next 1 or 2 years, touching is becoming the new dangerous thing. So touch-free sensor-based operations, and also app-based operations. So we have apps to book your food, right? We have apps to once you do that, you're not standing in a line you made the payment, you know where to collect it, and you're not crowding around in a cafeteria. So I would say app technology will also pick up. We have apps for booking food, we have apps for transport, carpooling and stuff like that. So especially in crowded places like micro markets and cafes. Like how Fancy and others were mentioning air conditioning, right? We have MERV 13 filters as the norm now. I think it'll go further, but I don't know if anything can trap the virus. But at least we might have healthier air and more air cycle changes for the restrooms, because I strongly believe that restrooms can be a very critical pass point for the virus. So in terms of hygiene, these will help. And your question about Google, right? Google has constantly used artificial intelligence and big data without invasion of privacy to determine what is on top of people's priorities and build workspaces that suit the future needs and preferences. So in that sense, Google will always be in the forefront of collecting some of the data. And we as Google also have a task force team who is, it's still early days, because we don't want to be threat driven. We want to be threat aware and take the informed decisions. We don't want to take paranoid decisions. So we have a proper task team which is analyzing the various trends and preferences, right? And also using Google technology. Google has helped communities in the current situation by identifying temporary food and night shelters for migrant labor, which is a very challenging aspect for the government of India in today's time. And Google Maps is working with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in highlighting these locations as the first response in Google Maps, and also distributing Google Chromebooks to schools for distant education needs in places like Japan, Southeast Asia, and probably will start in India as well.
Yeah, you correctly mentioned, Shashi. With few months of Google, you talk so much about technology that brings the smile not only to my face, but a lot of audience from AV and IT eager to hear this. I just wanted to make one small announcement. We have mentioned time from 4 to 5, and after that we were opening a question answer session. But what I slightly change in my methodology, I am adding up the questions from audience also, so that the questions are also added, and we complete our session in time. So we are since the time was 4 to 5, we are exceeding that time, but we are adding up the question from the audience in this discussion as well. So moving on to what Shashi has said, that automation requirement and lot of things in terms of clean air, in terms of various application and technology we were talking about. I will move on to Sapna on the same question. How do you see, is your client talking the same things to you in terms of designing aspect, or what kind of technology do you expect from the technology people?
So I'll just backtrack a little bit. I've been listening to everyone and understanding what are the technological advancements that have come about in the industry, which will take us forth in the next at least a year. See, I'm from a designer perspective, at least for the last couple of years, all I have been propagating to every client is collaboration, work as a team, work together, bring everybody together, sit next to each other, talk, discuss. We're actually going to a complete reverse psychology that we have to now work upon and tell everybody that, sorry, that was not the right way to do. This is the other way to do. So that is the big debate that's going on in my head, that, for the past so many years, I've been saying something, but I have to just say the exact opposite now to every client that I talk to, that, listen, you need to maintain distance. You need to talk on the phone, you need to be on the computer, you need to sit away from each other, you don't need to collaborate, you need to have your own focus pods. So that is the biggest challenge where we will be dealing with every employee, because we're not just looking at physically bringing them back into the workspace, we need to psychologically also bring everybody back into workspace, which is going to be a big challenge. So when it comes to technological advancements, I think everybody's pretty much covered everything from your user experience, starting at the entry level where everything is touchless, your biometric parameters are changed, everything is going to be non-touch based. There are going to be cameras which are going to be detecting your temperature. They're going to make sure that you're wearing a mask. In fact, that's the one question I asked one of the vendors, that, you talk about face recognition, but if I'm wearing a mask, how will you recognize me? So that is something that the new technology is also dealing with, where they're only going to identify the top portion of your face. So there are a lot of interesting things that are coming around, and it's kind of funny because you're sort of contradicting everything that you have done so far, but it's interesting. Also, we spoke about in a meeting room, switches. We're talking about 4.5 feet norm, 4 feet norms. Now we're thinking of putting switches at the foot level, wherein you can actually hit the switches with your foot and not really touch anything. Obviously, it's not possible everywhere to go touchless. So whatever little things that we can do technology-wise. We also spoke about UV sanitization. You get equipments which can come in, or you can install within your meeting spaces, which can completely sanitize the space in 15 minutes. You can close off the space, move out, and then re-enter. We spoke about workstations, how they can be distributed. So today everybody is talking about getting only 50% of the employees into the workspace, not 100%, because it's not possible to restructure existing workspaces completely and go from an efficiency of 80 square foot per person to 100 or 120, in a couple of days. So they're talking about bringing 50% efficiency. So how do we place them? How do we make them confident that, listen, this is your workspace, only you're going to be using this, and this other person who walks in will not use your space? That is going to be very important. And technology, not just incorporating these facets, but also letting people learn how to use these is going to be the biggest challenge, I feel. How can they actually take full advantage of this and feel safe and not fall sick, and not panic in these situations? So I think we need to think about those factors as well, which is very important.
Thank you, Sapna. You answered like so many questions. We are getting repeated questions from our audience about work from home, about the new norms in office, how the office design is going to look like, and at the same time, you have also challenged the technology people, like if we cover up our face, how the facial recognition will work. So I'll go back to the technology man, Mr. Bharat. Can you answer the question, like what kind of technologies do we have to address all these kind of future challenges?
Abdul, China, which has been the starting point of this outbreak, okay, has been a hotspot for use of cluster of digital technologies, okay, including artificial intelligence, location tracking, facial recognitions, drones, etc., to contain the spread of outbreak and enforce social distancing compliances. Even in India, we have health code apps, okay, that are being used to issue QR codes that indicate the risk level. Depending on how difficult other measures prove to be, right, we should not be surprised if far more intrusive innovations are adapted, right? Apple and Google are classic examples of how they adapted these innovations in the current context. With regards to the AV, there would be a need for proactive management of AV facility and automation. This brings about more seamless technology with least human interference. Tools like remote management dashboards, which give complete overview of facility working, proactive maintenance, live dashboard, which indicates every AV and IT parameter in functioning of the facility, enabling facility management with least interfaces. We already have seen these technology solutions evolving and more IoT based with sensors, triggering responses with the kind of management system that will be more handy. I would emphasize more on the integrated and automated spaces, which is like, be it starting from booking a space to monitoring a space. So we already there. I think this is going to be used more often now, okay, across the enterprises. So I see an opportunity from an AV perspective on how the facility management will be done post the COVID scenario.
Okay. Mr. Prashant, you are part of a large company, Aditya Birla Group. So I have a question from one of the audience participants asking about how does this COVID-19 would affect the infrastructure growth and from investment point of view? Like, will the companies still be investing, especially when work from home comes into the picture? So you'll be adapting it, and if you are adapting it, how this growth will happen? What kind of infrastructure requirement will be there, or what kind of investment will company be making?
See, Abdul, see, we have seen many phases here. See, 2008 was a turmoil time, but India came strong. See, I'm saying from an Indian perspective and Indian industries, okay, there are lots of hope. Maybe, yes, maybe 2 or 3 quarters would be a little bit, people will be more conservative, okay, focusing on needs, okay, and starting up and being on track. We have 16 businesses, okay, maybe almost 2 months we have lost, okay, there is no cement bag which has gone out, okay, or maybe any chemicals, or so this is the current situation. But yes, this is a very unprecedented times, as everyone is saying, or new normal. So maybe we have to wait 2 quarters, and then I think so things will be on track. Technology is there, yes, but conservative would be the things. Only must to have will be in pipeline. So yes, the future would be I'm saying investment, there would be a slight Conservative approach. Yes. I mean, Aditya Birla, we are into a conservative.
Yeah. You said you used a correct word, like, India will come out of this situation definitely, and there are many white papers about it. The economists are talking about it. So I want to move to our last point, that like how of course this global pandemic, this post-COVID thing is affecting everyone. Entire global is affected. But then coming back, the resilience, the bouncing back. So how do you see this? Like, I would like to ask Meghna, like, what are your views that total impact as a society, or how do you see India in this entire situation?
Sum it up in just one phrase, because I think so much has been said and so much will be said as we go forward. The comeback is always going to be stronger than the setback.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Shashi, would you like to answer this question again? Like, of course, like, we will come stronger. What are the challenges you see, like, in terms of many projects going on hold? Like, once you come back, the entire world will be different. So, what kind of challenges in terms of manpower, in terms of skill set requirement? How do you see this?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of manpower specifically, I mean, we all know that our labor sector, on one hand, is primarily very unorganized, with daily wage forming the major chunk of the workforce for construction, right? And typically, there will be some inertia in getting this labor force mobilized once we decide that the construction will start. In fact, I know that some of the developers have already started implementing the norms, and they have reduced workforce, but they have started construction. So that's some good news that's coming out of the market. In terms of the economic, downturn, I would say that definitely India is not in as bad a state as the Western markets such as America and Europe. We are all aware of the layoffs and furloughs that is happening there. Corporate India is still in a better shape. I would say that corporate India right now is more in terms of canceling earned leave, or that kind of a state, and not laying off people for sure. And in terms of the IT itself, from the sources that I have heard, on an average, 85 to 95% of the IT workforce is actually work from home. I can't talk of all the companies, but I've heard from the Accenture and other companies that 85 to 95% of their workforce is able to work from home. And I strongly believe that this is a short-term issue, probably for the next 4 to 6 months. Of course, we as clients, everybody is going to be a little conservative on leases that are supposed to be signed next year. Those kind of leases might go on hold, but otherwise, I think it will be business as usual in 4 to 5 months for sure.
Yeah. Fancy, would you like to extend this answer? Like, how do you see India coming back? Which are the industries still not affected, or it is going to impact every industry, every field of life?
I think the quick answer to that would be like the obvious ones, which would be like the industries that impact positively, right? So from your the industries like biotech companies, your manufacturing companies, and all sorts of things like that. But I think I want to just kind of do it in this way. I think the businesses that are going to be doing really well would be the ones that impact your environment positively, that impacts this planet positively, and that's like very passionate about what they do. Those are the ones that are going to rise out of what is going on right now. So,
Bharat, anybody wants to add something? Bharat, I wanted to ask you, like, you are from a manufacturing background, like Kramer is an OEM. So, do you see, like, because of the entire episode of this COVID-19, you see like manufacturing hub, not for globe, at least for the Asia Pacific. Will this shift? Are there chances that shifting back to India?
All right. If you look at the macro economic perspective, Abdul, okay, I mean, government must act fast in easing up the entry barrier, okay, and put the processes in place, okay. Seeing the way the COVID situation has been managed by the government, okay, by delegating the decision making to multiple levels and the bureaucrats allowed to speak and take stand, perhaps some stiff process streamlining is on the way soon. It I don't think so. Firms will completely move away their manufacturing plants, but yeah, I mean, like it happened during the tsunami in 2004, okay, or during the latest stage of it, right? We will definitely plan for the alternative manufacturing location with a commercial viability. And again, when you're talking about an AV standpoint, right, it depends upon the electronic manufacturing regulations, okay, since it's a supply chain driven process. So at the moment, I don't see it happening, but in the mid to long term, that could definitely be a possibility.
Okay. I would like to ask Meghna if you want to give any message. We are moving towards the conclusion. There were many questions still coming up, but we have some time limitation. We have 10 minutes to go. So Meghna, you want to, we all are kind of, people call it as a lockdown, and we use that terminology in our topic of the webinar. But is that really a lockdown, or we can use it other ways? How do you see this grace period of 40 days that every professional has got?
I'm an internal, optimist. There's very few things in life that get me down. So, and I think if you keep that positive attitude of collaboration, continuation, empathy. I do groceries for 4 other people in the building who are quite old. I rescued a little kitten a week ago, and now it's been adopted. I've been, just empathy. And empathy and humanness aside, this is a great time to learn. My husband just came and told me a couple of days ago, what are you doing? Harvard's opened up all these e-online courses. Are you doing nothing about it? This is also a great time to learn and grow as individuals, because we never really get this white noise when we are at work or at home, right? And there are times that I have that white noise and I'm able to sort of think of what else I can do. Of course, that is after what Prakash was saying, when I'm cooking and I'm taking all these calls, I always find a little bit of time. So yeah, empathy, kindness, generosity, think about those things, which is what I do, and learn something new. That's really.
Yeah, thank you, Meghna. Sapna, your message to our audience?
So continuing with what Meghna said, this has been a period of reboot, I think, for humanity in a large way. We all needed this. We needed to practice the pause. As we keep preaching to everybody, practice the pause, introspect, look around where you're headed, where you've come from. And I think this was a perfect planned pause break that we all got, where we actually got to learn and introspect as to what is going on with our life. And as Meghna rightly said, be empathetic towards environment, our resources that we completely take advantage of, or we take things for granted on our daily life. It's so busy running around that we are losing the essence of what truly, and that's your safety bubble of your home, your family, your friends. And I think that's something that we were completely devoid of because we were just running around in circles. So I think that was a perfect, break that we got to actually value each of these things when it comes to humanity. And I think this is there to stay, no matter what or how we go back and still get busy with. We will carry this lesson for the rest of our lives, maybe not 100%, but somewhere it will stay with us. And we will be more prepared for something else that comes up in the future. God forbid, it shouldn't, but still, I think we are more prepared and, more human now. So that's how I see it.
Thank you. Aziz, you want to give some good message to our audience?
We had a town hall from our country manager, and our country manager has displayed one saying. So just for in case of the crowd, I would like to read that. that it is not the strongest species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. It is one that is most adaptable to change will survive. So this is a very impactful saying by Charles Darwin. We should be adaptable during this situation. We know that we are under crisis. This is going to be a very negative impact will be there for some times. Some people are saying that our economy will take a V shape. Some are saying that it will take a U shape. But we become strong out of it as soon as there is a vaccine available. The coronavirus will go, and we will strongly come back again into this market.
Thank you.
That's the saying. Yeah.
Shashi?
To echo what everybody has told, I just completely agree with what Sapna, Aziz, and Meghna have mentioned in terms of it was a wake-up call to respect nature, to respect fellow animals, to respect fellow humans. It's a great leveler. What the situation today can affect a prime minister, prince, or anybody. So I think we should take off from that. Probably lead more meaningful lives. Not stop doing what we do, but do it in a very conscious manner, I would say.
Thank you. Fancy message from you.
I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that we need to all be humble. We need to kind of step back. Agree with everything what you guys have said, but honestly, we need to come down a little bit on that arrogant wagon we were on and be a lot more humble. Follow our passions. And what are we doing in terms of our work? We need to be very passionate about what we are doing. So passion is going to drive it a long way.
Bharat, you would like to give some message to audience?
Abdul, for me, it is just about introspecting, reset, reboot, and look ahead, right? I think it looks bright. I mean, things look bright. Okay, I think, right, we are up for something nice, something big. Okay, let's make the best use of what tomorrow holds for each one of us.
Thank you. Prashant Agarwal.
So everyone has taken the same word, reboot and restart of entire thing. So completely new thing. Okay, new environment. We go out in a fresh air now. That's a new thing. Okay, and less crowded. We'll start with maybe 10%, 20% workforce. So like it's something new we'll never find. Okay, when move out. Okay, fresh air, less crowd in office, maybe somewhere in public transport. So a complete new life. So my thing is be safe, be smart, and let's enjoy this part of.
Thank you, Prashantji. Dear audience, that is the discussion about the topic today. The 40 days lockdown, acceleration towards technology or digitalization. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the panelists. They have taken out their very precious time. I know people are struggling working from home, and then taking out time is very difficult because we have no cut down limit to our work experience. It is a totally new experience to most of us, working from home and then managing home as well as life as well as work balance. So our panelists have shed light on the topic. They spoke about various aspects of impact of COVID-19, how to come out of it, how to manage ourselves. And in the end, to conclude, I would like to say that not all is lost. Yes, it is a crisis. And in Chinese, from the virus has come, the Chinese language, the word crisis is composed of two parts. One is the danger and other is opportunity. We have been speaking about danger, and as you are seeing on the screen, as this incident happened, as this pandemic disease came, we went on a denial mode, then we went on frustration, we went down depression. Now what we are talking about is going up on the curve. So we have to take a decision now. We have to be committed to what we are talking here now. So it is it is part of change of life. It is a few weeks ago, we were living our normal busy life. We were then, we were taking, as one of the panelists said, we were taking everything granted. like, any evening with a friend, our local daily commute, traveling by train, coming back by flight, everything was possible then. But now, all of a sudden, like, because of this, everything has changed, everything is stopped. So it is very clear from our panelists, like technology has made this bearable, like, because of our data were on cloud, because we were connected through net and bandwidth and connectivity. So going forward, like, we have to take everything very seriously. Like, the technology we have to talk about, we have to respect each other. And then, like, we are also, what we are hearing from our panelists, like, companies will invest more in technology. That brought smile to many of the faces in the audience. So collaboration and virtual meetings, and then, like, collaborative tools, everything will be part of our new change. All the while we have been selling new ideas and technology, it was going into a luxury category. Now it will go into must have category. So this is the change that we are seeing now. Many of the industries are still blooming, the pharmacy, the medicine, the FMCG, and, like, this will like, give a new shape to India to bounce back of the situation. And this pandemic situation, this lockdown period, has given everybody a rare opportunity to stop, to pause, reflect, and introspect, which could have not been possible in our daily life. And the lockdown soon will be completing 40 days for most of us. And some people say that to change any of your habit, period of 40 days is required. And this is what we all are observing. So we have to come back very strong and very confident, very optimistic, very focused. So that is all we want to take this message from our panelists today. When the wheels of the world's economics begins to turn again, let's, like, connect to each other. Right now we are connecting virtually. Let's connect, meet again, and take this country to a new horizon. Thank you very much. Thank you all the panelists. I would like to thanks sincere thanks to my the panelists. They have taken out time from their busy schedule. Thanks to the audience. They kept, like, the strange and very good part of it, like, whoever joined from beginning, I could see them till the end. So that means our discussion, whatever we spoke about, was very useful to them. And I hope that they will take a very strong positive message. Thank you to the organizer, especially Cisco WebEx, providing us the platform, the Kramer and the I team for organizing this event. Thank you very much. With this conclusion, I would like to end this session. We will be seeing you again if we decide any other topic to connect with you again. Thank you very much.